Okay,
Jared, no talking, Jared.
we're live.
We're live?
We're live.
Okay. Before we get started tonight, I'd actually like to observe a moment of silence to recognize the lives of our Everett Public School families that have fallen victim to the coronavirus pandemic. While we have all experienced immeasurable amount of change and perhaps some hardship in the past weeks, let us remember why we are taking these measures. In the end, there is no greater loss than the loss of life. Please take a moment to reflect on those we have tragically lost to this virus. Thank you. I'm not going to ask everyone to stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance, but I think we have an alternative.
We can forego
We
it.
want to start with, oh, no, go ahead. Okay. Everybody ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the
to the
republic
republic for which it stands,
one nation,
nation under God,
indivisible.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, that was interesting. Okay, will the secretary please call the roll?
Caroline Mason,
Present.
Pamela Saint,
Present.
Tracy Mitchell, April Berg,
Present.
Andrew Nichols.
Present.
Okay, our first item of business tonight is the adoption of the agenda. Dr. Saltzman, may you please give an overview of our very brief agenda this afternoon?
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair. Tonight's agenda contains the superintendent's report, a segment for board comments, a segment for public comments, segment for routine business, segment for new business, and upcoming agenda items. Since publishing the agenda, the following changes have been made. Item 9.13, Schedule 1400 South Board Annual Regular Meeting Schedule 2019-20, proposed revision was added to the consent agenda for second reading. Directors approve this item for first reading at the March 10th regular board meeting. Item 13.02, approval of resolution 1228, rescinding portion of resolution 1216 and postponing bond proposition. The resolution was added. The board may elect to change the order of business by majority of the vote of the members.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Is there a motion to adopt the agenda as stated?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Was that Director Berg? It has been moved and seconded to adopt the agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we will move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The agenda is adopted. Next item of business is recognition, and we have moved any recognitions for this evening to a future date when we can all be together and celebrate, which will take us then to section 6.0, the superintendent's report. Dr. Saltzman, what do you have for us this afternoon?
Yes, good evening to the public and to the board. At this time, my report's short. Again, to our community, there's no playbook to this in our nation and to our local community. Your safety is so important to us. To every member of the Everett public school system, that is every member of the public school system. First of all, thank you for your tireless efforts for all that you're doing for children, but for each other. Please be safe. Please promise me you follow the rules by the governor, and we will get through this. These are different times, but I assure you we will get through this. So for every member of the Everett public school system and to our community, please be safe and God bless.
Thank you. Okay, that takes us to board comments. Well, since we're not at the lectern, or up on the dais tonight, I'm going to just pick a box. Director Berg, do you have anything to share this afternoon?
Yeah, just quickly, I just want to thank all the teachers and staff and everyone who have really gone above and beyond. Being not only a director, but also a parent in this district, I can't tell you how much it's meant to me seeing our staff rally and do things on Zoom and on Canvas, using Pearson. I mean, just really using all the resources at their disposal and really showing our kiddos just that human side of them. We know our teachers are superhuman, but they've, really had to dig deep into their humanity in these uncertain times, and they've really made the kiddos just feel welcome even in these untraditional settings. So I just want to thank all of the teachers and staff during this time.
Thank you. I would concur with those comments. Director Lassane, do you have anything to share?
Yes. I would like to thank the staff. There's feedback here.
Hey, Pam.
Someone put my phone down.
Pam, do you have 2 devices turned on?
Yes, I have one so I can have,
Yeah, you're giving us too much feedback.
I'll turn one off. I won't be able to see all of you, but this way I can actually speak.
That
I'll
sounds
see
better.
all
Thank
of you at one at a time. What I would like to do is thank the district staff for the Chromebook distribution. I happened over at the CRC and saw the distribution of elementary, middle school Chromebooks for students in the middle school and elementary school, just to help them engage in their learning. And I thought that was really a wonderful thing that we could be doing for our community. I would like to also thank them for meals distribution, for breakfast and lunch distribution. And that goes a long way. It shows goodwill. It shows that we care about our students. And we know that with education, there's an equity piece, that if students don't have devices, they don't have meals to eat, it hampers their educational ability to learn. I would also like to comment, I read an article in Seattle Times just a couple of days ago that talked about, the article in fact was entitled, "Is School Really Out?" But it had various answers from different districts around our state. Many districts who have the resources that we have or don't have the resources that we have. And they talked about how students were still learning or students were not learning. The article is very long, it's very detailed, but it allows us to look to the future. I mean, even though we have a pandemic right now, it allows us to look to the future and to how we can reinvent school systems so that everyone is included in situations like this and situations that we don't even know are going to be coming along the pike because of the world conditions today. We are still in uncharted territories. There are some basic barriers that we have. We are not right now prepared to do some of the things that maybe some districts can do, or even do them with fidelity. But it offers an opportunity for us to learn from this event moving forward. And what we do need to instill to our community and to our parents is, some believe that the schools can just turn a switch and continue to learn or teach and put out information, and that's not possible. But it allows us to think in the future. And I think as a district and as a state and as a community, we need to be looking to the future and trying to remove certain barriers. And I think this sets the stage for doing just that. So I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Nichols?
I will echo everyone else's thanks and just to say how incredibly impressed I've been at the responsiveness of the district and from what I've seen in the community, responsiveness of parents jumping in and doing what they can do to help make sure that the children are learning and taken care of. And I just wanted to express my heartfelt thanks for the district and everything they're doing.
Yeah, I think, thank you. I think the three of you have summed it up pretty well. I was reflecting over the past few weeks and thinking about sort of how things have transpired and unfolded in our district. And I think there's a couple things that positioned us particularly well as we went into this. Of course, it's new and, as Pam said, uncharted territory right now, but you know, thanks to the generosity of our community back in 2016, we were able to launch the one-to-one rollout of devices to our students. 4 years later, all high school students and many of our middle school students have a device that they not only use in the classroom, but that they can take home. And then in addition to that, we have teachers who have been in training on programs, educational programs that utilize a device. And so I feel like that put us a big step ahead of many districts. Now, the Chromebook rollout, getting our elementary students that same capability is sort of what the Chromebook rollout is all about. And our district, again, has been very responsive to those needs. I also believe that the foresight of our leadership, when we saw that a closure was an eventual certainty, we were able to get out ahead and do a little planning, more so than maybe some other districts that sort of were still trying to decide whether that was going to really happen or not. And I think that although it might have just been hours or maybe a day or two, that time that we had to plan and get ready for this was also very crucial. So I just want to say a huge thanks to our leadership who made that happen. And then lastly, having our food service in-house, I think, has made us more nimble and flexible in getting meals out to students. We are not relying on outside resources to make that happen for us right now, which I think has helped us to be more responsive. So just a couple things that made me appreciate sort of what we've done in our district to help poise us to get through this in perhaps a little bit better way than had we not had those in place. So that's it. Very common themes in all our comments tonight, including the superintendent report. So with that, we will move to public comments. And are there any public comments this afternoon?
Yes, we actually do have a public comment. A Miss Leanne Gregg sent an email to the board for public comment and her statement is, as a current parent of an Everett Public Schools student, an alumni of Everett Public Schools, and a current employee of Everett Public Schools, I would like to say thank you. Thank you for keeping the concern of our children, staff, and community at the forefront of every action and communication you have taken over the past month. Thank you for providing meals and technology to our students. Thank you for opening up the lower parking lot to support our larger community. Your leadership is being felt all across our communities, and we are forever grateful for these actions. We are in this together. That's it.
A very nice public comment. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
Again, very similar to all of our comments. Okay, so we're going to move on to the business of the afternoon. Section 9.0 is our consent agenda, and Dr. Salzman, might you tip your computer screen just a touch so you're, nope, wrong way.
Can you see
There you
that?
go.
Okay.
Now you're in there. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It'll probably look better on TV than in person, but thank you. Consent agenda. Thank you, Madam Chair. The board's consent agenda includes repetitive business items such as meeting minutes, personnel actions, expense vouchers, surplus lists, gifts, grants, and recurring contracts. Sometimes it includes items that occur less frequently but of routine business nature. These items are usually reviewed by the board in the Friday report, 1 or more weeks before the board meeting. This gives directors time to ask staff questions or to consider discussion about the policy implications of those items. The board votes on the consent agenda in a single motion. By its definition, a consent agenda is not debatable. In the case of this consent agenda, the superintendent's office has received no questions or comments regarding these items. Therefore, the consent agenda is presented as published for board approval.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve.
Is
Second,
there a second? Okay.
second,
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Would any director like to remove an item from the consent agenda and place it in the new business section of the agenda? Hearing none, we will move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
aye.
All those opposed say no. The motion carries and the consent agenda is approved. Next item is section 10.0, strategic progress monitoring, and there is no strategic progress monitoring tonight as we have moved all presentations to a future date when we can do that in person. Section 11.0, information and discussion, similar situation there, no business for tonight. Section 11.0, unfinished business. There is no unfinished business this afternoon. Which takes us to 13.0, and we have 2 items of new business. The first one, 13.01, is the appointment of board representative to Student Representative Selection Committee. And we moved this into the new business so that we could have some discussion around this, particularly for the new directors to better understand what is involved in this. So, does anyone want to provide an overview, or should I just do that briefly?
Go ahead.
Madam Chair, go ahead.
Or Mr. Polk?
Happy
you
to do so.
Yeah, thank you.
You bet. So this particular position was created, I'd say about 8 to 10 years ago, as a way to get more student voice to our board of directors as decisions are made. Currently, Amita Hussein is serving her first year, and Hannah Trans finishing her second year, and will be graduating, of course. So we'll be selecting somebody from Jackson High School. Traditionally, what we have done is we've had an interview committee, which consists of our PTSA district representative or president, which is currently Jen Herman, the regional superintendent, which will be Larry Fleckenstein, the principal, Dave Peters, myself, and then a school board representative, which will be chosen by you as a group, and that's the purpose of today's item. Currently, we are planning our interviews for April 16th, but obviously with our school closures, we'll have to reconfigure our schedule. Through this process, Dave Peters has reached out to recruit students, and in spite of our school closures, he's currently had 3 applicants. One of which I learned today was successful in earning a page position in Olympia, but because of the coronavirus issues going on, she was unable to serve this time around. So very, very high quality individual there. Once we go through our interviews as a committee, we'll recommend finalists to Dr. Saltzman. Dr. Saltzman will then interview these finalists and make a recommendation to the board, and the board will make the final approval. The current data, again, may be moved due to our school closures and need to make adjustment. Do you have any questions on process or the history of this?
Okay, thank you very much for the overview. I guess at this time, are there any questions from directors? And then is there any interest from directors on serving on this committee to help select the next student representative?
So what is the time commitment like? Is it multiple days? Is it one afternoon?
Currently, the plan is one morning, about a 2 to 3 hour block. However, we can fit everybody's schedule or calendar, but it's a 1-day conversation, interviews and a conversation.
Currently, the date on the given on the board doc says April 16th. Is that a good date still? We
No,
probably going to be in class in school at that time.
right. As I mentioned, that's the current date, but because our school closures, we'll have to find a new date for the interview process and also the approval process by the board.
Would there be a way to hold these interviews via Zoom or Skype or some way to do that?
I would say if necessary, if our school closures extend longer, I'll definitely confer with Dr. Saltzman and Scott to determine the best process, be it, do we do it by Zoom? Do we push it out till September? We can have those conversations if this closure continues on.
Yeah, I think one of those that at a later time, both Pam and I have served on this committee in the past to select a student representative, and I'm guessing either of us would be happy to do it again, but I just wanted to throw it out possibly to the new directors to have that opportunity if you choose so.
I just have a question. Oh, sorry. I was just going to ask a question about process. Is there a reason why? I guess first off, is Sequoia ever on the rotation list? And is there a reason why it's not all the comprehensives at one time, that we just do 2 at a time?
I don't know the reason why we only have 2 at a time, other than possibly space. We did create a 2-year rotation where students were able to serve for 2 years consecutively. Sequoia is definitely part of that rotation. So after we choose our Jackson representative this spring, the following spring will be Sequoia's to add a representative.
We've currently
Great, thank you.
We've had 2 students from Sequoia that were fantastic students. They did an awesome job when we went down to Olympia, and they were very talkative, and all of our representatives remembered them. One went on to Everett Community College, where I believe still continue to engage with our
I think all of our student representatives have done a great job in the past. Sequoia, just to answer April's question a little bit with more detail, Sequoia, we have made exceptions on the 2-year term for Sequoia because of the nature of their programming. It's sometimes more difficult to find students that can serve for 2 consecutive years. So we have done 1 year and 1 year to fulfill their 2-year with 2 different students.
Okay.
Also, possible, Robert, that the interview process could be done for some of our board members who may work, so they have the opportunity to interview our students at school.
We can definitely look into that. We've done it during the school day to try to not one more thing. Most of our students who apply have a number of other activities they're involved with. And so it's been, we've had more success in having these interviews during school day, pull them out for about 20 minutes and get them back to class instead of doing it in the evening when they may have conflicts with a concert or a performance or some other community activity that they participate in.
But I would gladly make myself available for this and be a part of it. And as long as I have enough advance notice, I can block out my time appropriately.
Well, I recommend that we appoint Andrew Nichols, Director Nichols, to the Student Representative Selection Committee. Are other directors in agreement?
Yes.
Yes, for me.
Okay. Thank you, Andrew, for that. I think you'll find the process interesting and enjoyable.
You'll have
Okay, so item 13.02 is the approval of resolution 1228 rescinding.
Caroline, we need
Yes.
to have a vote on that.
Oh,
We need
I'm
a
sorry.
motion.
Yes.
That's okay. We need a motion and a vote.
Okay. Is there a motion to appoint Director Nichols to the Student Representative Selection Committee?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded to appoint Director Nichols to the Student Representative Selection Committee. We'll move to the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say no. The motion carries. Thank you. Okay, now we're moving on to section 13.02, which is approval of resolution 1228, rescinding portions of resolution 1216 and postponing bond proposition. I believe Mr. Mike Gunn is going to provide a brief overview of the resolution for us.
Yes, thank you. So recently the Snohomish County Auditor has asked for us to provide them a formal notice rescinding the April 28th ballot measure bond proposal. So we have given them already informal notice that this is very likely coming from the board. This resolution, the primary purpose of this resolution is to do so, to actually rescind the April 28th ballot measure that you had approved a while ago. So that's the primary reason for this resolution. The secondary reason is that it also has language in it that postpones the bond measure to the August 24th primary election. And that is certainly a topic for discussion if you would like. There is another option to move the bond resolution, the ballot measure to the November 3rd general election if you would like. Or of course, a third option is actually to just rescind the bond entirely and not set a future date for it. We have written the resolution assuming that you would prefer to move it to the August 24th primary election.
You say August 24th, yet it says August 4th. Is it really the 24th and it should read 24?
It says, yeah.
It should be the 4th. It should be the 4th.
On the second page of the resolution, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the actual resolution itself.
Yes, I'm looking at the resolution. At the bottom of the resolution, where it says now therefore be it resolved, the last
On page
piece
1.
August 4th, or is there a new one that I should be looking at?
No, the August 4th is the primary election, and the November 3rd is the general election.
Okay, got it.
Maybe I misstated that, I'm sorry.
Understood. Thank you.
Mike, what was the thinking between putting the August 4th date on the resolution versus just rescinding it for now and sort of waiting a couple weeks or more to sort of see, you know, if school's going to happen and sort of where our nation is?
Well, there are certainly a lot of uncertainties coming at us fairly quickly. So that is certainly an option the board could consider. We didn't have, frankly, a whole lot of time to put this together, and there were a lot of missed opportunities in terms of the conversation. So we basically just put it together, assuming that you would like to do that, and it's really up to the board to decide what to do. There are certainly pros and cons associated with each of the elections, the dates that are coming up. And it's impossible to know what will happen over the next couple months even.
Right.
Yeah, that's my main concern is, you know, I think we would all like to be on the August 4th as opposed to the November election or the presidential primary election. But at the same time, you know, folks may be losing their jobs on unemployment and just starting to get back into the swing of things. And the last thing they're going to want to do is vote on raising or, you know, adding a new tax, which it's the net gain of this bond, as I understand, it's not going to raise taxes, property taxes as it were. But it's kind of one of the last things I would want to think about if I were in that position. So I think it would deserve further discussion by the board as opposed to setting a firm date.
I think my question would be is, do we do better with higher turnout or lower turnout? So November is going to have higher turnout, and August tends to be pretty flat or just down. So I'm wondering which would be better just for voters.
Wasn't some of the concern with like a November ballot position that there's so many down ballot things that people just start kind of glazing over and just voting no on pretty much everything?
That's true.
So,
It's like no to everything. Yeah.
I think in light of Director Nichols' comments, which I agree with, I feel like this is an item that actually takes a little bit of discussion, and I'm not sure a Tuesday afternoon Zoom meeting is maybe the best opportunity for us to delve into the pluses and minuses of each election date. And I would like to recommend that we approve it without a specific date at this time, and hope that when we can do so, that one of the first in-person meetings that we have, we take the opportunity to have a more robust discussion with perhaps some data to help support some of, turnout numbers and some of that information that might help us better understand.
I would agree with Director Mason, because I would like to have all of our board members present for that discussion. I would like to see data as to which time frame school bonds would do better with. Yes, you have a larger turnout in November, but larger turnout sometimes also indicates that you get a lot more no voters than you would in a primary. And I don't know that, but I would like to find out from any data that we have if that's the case or if that is not the case.
So I would move that we approve the resolution with the amendment that we will not articulate a specific date to relaunch or to have the bond on the ballot pending further discussion.
As a point of process and protocol, do we need to approve the
Well, I think that, well, I was just going to say, I think that it, normally with resolutions, we could make a motion to just introduce it and then open discussion and then do like a friendly amendment to it, if that makes sense. Like, so like when we look at resolutions, just opening it up with, moving to either pass it or not, and then you have discussion on it, and then you can entertain friendly amendments to it. But we haven't moved, like right now, there's nothing on the floor. Like the floor is like empty.
Right. So I just, what I was going to ask, and I feel like we've done in the past, is we move to amend the resolution, and then we move to approve the amended resolution. Darlene, do you have a sense of which way?
Yeah, it's like April says, you should move to approve it, and then you'll have a first and a second, and then the discussion to amend it, and then you'll move to approve the amended.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you could
move
to strike it out.
To approve resolution 1228, rescinding portions of resolution 1216 and postponing bond proposition.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there discussion?
I would like to amend the last section on the now it therefore be resolved to remove the sentence and postpones the submission of the proposition of incurring in such indebtedness to the qualified electors within the district to the August 4th, 2020 primary election period. I'd like to remove that section and amend this resolution.
Is there further discussion with other directors or questions?
So it was moved and seconded in its current form, and then basically you're just amending. So Pam, you had the motion, so you're just amending your motion to strike out basically the last paragraph of the motion.
The last sentence.
Of the resolution.
Last paragraph, or.
The last sentence of the last paragraph.
So we would need to add in
So
there,
we need,
though,
so we need to vote to strike that out, correct?
Yes, we need to vote to approve that amendment.
Yes, to approve that amendment, and then we'll vote on the total package.
do we need to also at the same time suggest language,
Alternate.
alternate language?
Yes, because we'd want to vote, I believe, on all amended changes.
Right.
If
So you have
there's
to
any-
vote, you have to vote on the amendment changes first and then go to
First.
that.
Okay.
Mhm. But I guess kind of a point of order, and Mike, you might know the answer to this. Do you need a date? Can we just kind of TBD that and just basically vote for the basic resolution once it gets amended, just to have it taken off the current ballot? And then can we later on have further discussion, or do you need
Yes.
a date for this resolution?
That is what I would recommend that you do, is delete the last phrase, as Director Lassane mentioned, everything after the word election in that last paragraph. And then you could actually add to that to say and that something like, and the date for the placement on an election date to be determined, or something like that. I mean, I don't know the specific language.
You could say simply postpones the submission of the proposition of incurring such indebtedness to the qualified electors within the district at a date or a future election to be determined by the board.
Yeah. I think what is important, though, is to keep the word rescinds in that last paragraph, because that is what we were asked to do, is to rescind the resolution. And then I think you could add language that postpones it to a future date.
I think Director Nichols, you had a solution to that. And I liked your solution to that. That was to keep that last sentence within the district to a future date. And just remove August 4th, 2020 primary election. So we keep the words rescind in, but we keep the discussion will continue to a future date.
To a future date to be determined by the board.
By the board.
Yes.
Yes.
Keep to be determined in there, in the wording.
Yes.
Okay.
To be determined by the board at a future time.
Right.
So Pam, I'm going to second your amendment to the resolution, and then we'll probably need to have a vote just on that amendment.
Yes.
Okay, Mike, do you feel that you have all that you need in terms of the language changes?
I do, and I could read those back to you if you'd like.
Go ahead. That would be a good idea.
Okay, so I'm going to read the last paragraph in its entirety. It says, now therefore be it resolved that the Everett Public Schools Board of Directors hereby rescinds provisions of its resolution 1216, unlimited tax general obligation bonds related to placement of the proposition on the April 28th, 2020 special election, and postpones the submission of the proposition of incurring such indebtedness to the qualified electors within the district to be determined at a future time to be determined by the board.
That sounds good to me. Any other comments? Okay, I'd like to call for a motion to approve the amendments as stated.
So moved.
So
Okay.
I think there was already a motion. I think Pam made the motion to amend it, and then I seconded it, so that's already on the floor. We just have to vote on the amendment,
Okay.
and then we have the
We're going to
original.
move forward with the vote to the amendment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The resolution is amended as suggested. And now we are going to, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we will go ahead and move to approving the agenda or the resolution number 1228, rescinding portions of resolution 1216 and postponing bond proposition.
So moved.
Is there a motion to approve?
I think
So
there's
moved.
already,
Yeah.
I think that was the original motion. Like, it wasn't their original motion and then the amendment. And so we're just now back to the original.
Correct.
Okay. So we just have
So
to
just
vote on it,
the
I
vote.
think.
Okay, moving to the vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Director Berg, for your direction there. Keeping
Earning
track.
my keep.
It always gets confusing when you like amend an amendment and then you have to approve the amendment, but then the motion.
I'm glad
Okay.
you're the parliamentarian on that, man.
We are moving to section 14.0, upcoming agenda items. Dr. Salzman.
Yes, ma'am. Due to the coronavirus outbreak and the governor's executive order, all special meetings for the end of March have been postponed. 14.0 regular meeting on April 14th, 2020 with fingers crossed. Those meetings discuss the second quarter financial reports and board goals of 2019-2020 progress review.
And at this time, have we made the choice to make that a Zoom meeting given school will not be back in session at that time?
Yes, that's what it looks like right now. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so everyone knows that ahead of time. Great, okay, and then we have section 15.0, executive closed session, and we do not have either planned for this afternoon, which takes us to section 16.0, which is adjournment. So I guess at this point in time, this meeting is adjourned. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone. for
Great.
your
Thank you so
flexibility.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Everybody.
Have a good evening. Be safe, okay?
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Thanks.
Indeed.
Bye-bye.